talked about what kind of animal you'd like to be and why. And people would say, typically say, I'd like to be a bird because I could fly, I'd like to be a horse because I could run really fast, But this person who was doing it said, the interesting thing is nobody ever says I want to be a sheep. Sheep are just not all that interesting. And I brought that up in my thing that I shared at Margie's Sunday school class. I brought up James Harriet talking about sheep, and how they're so, that's what I think of it, they're so vulnerable. They really aren't very intelligent. Now in the wild, I suppose they took care of themselves. But they huddle together, they rely on each other for protection. And they really, really need a shepherd. And he also said, James Harriet said that sheep cannot bear rough handling. And he talked about one of his absolute favorite jobs as a vet was when there'd be a sheep who was having trouble giving birth. And he said a lot of times, if it's one lamb, it's one thing, they might have one leg bent back or the head bent back, with the neck coming first. But he said if there's more than one lamb, you might feel these two little feet. Usually they come out with the two little feet next to the nose, And you might feel this nose and these two little feet, but they might not belong to the same lamb. And he said, in the old days, it was common for farmers to try to drag that lamb out, and sometimes it would kill the lamb, sometimes it would kill the sheep, and then they'd call the vet. But he said that's not common anymore. Nowadays, mostly they'll call him and say, yeah, she's having trouble. He said, they'll say, I had a quick feel around and I knew it wasn't a job for me. And one farmer even said, two men at one sheep is no good. And the vet, he said that was one of his favorite jobs as a vet, was sorting those little lambs out. But he said with sheep, you have to be really, really careful. And you can't just drop them around. You have to be really careful. And that's why I was talking about, like, the thing about the potter's wheel. The only time you need to actually use strength and exert pressure is when you're centering it. When you're centering the clay, but after that, you just need this very, very light touch. And I said, and this is, I always feel out of my depth when I go here because I know very well there are people in that class who've been through really, really hard things. There's people there with children with extremely difficult medical conditions. Like Matt Chambers' little boy. And I am not saying when I say not everything God does is hard. I'm not saying that sometimes some of the things that we have to face aren't hard. But I said, not everything is. Well, I guess you could project this forward and say, when they asked Jesus what animal he wanted to be. Exactly. That's what he chose. He chose to be a lamb. Because then he was partaking the vulnerability of all the rest of them. And you can say, I forget which one of your friends said he didn't think sheep were a very good symbol. Maybe it wasn't a friend of yours, maybe it was he didn't think sheep were a very good symbol of God's people because the only reason the shepherd keeps them is so they can eat them. Well, okay, but Jesus became one. He became that same sheep. He became the sacrificial lamb. But he became, and he also became the shepherd because he became the shepherd from the perspective of the sheep. He knows what it's like. He became the shepherd from the position of knowing the needs of the sheep. That's right. Because he said the sheep are such that they need a shepherd, and he knew that. He knows that in his role as shepherd. He knows the sheep from the inside. He knows what it's like to be one. He knows what it's like to be sheep. He didn't just stand back and say, okay, you be the sheep, and I'm the boss over here, and you just do whatever I say. He became an example, and he's the shepherd and the sheep. Like that story they say, it's a story from one of those South American tribes about the guy who wanted to teach the ants a better way to build a house, but when he tried to show them, they all ran away. So he realized that the only way he could get them to listen to him was to become an ant himself. And so he became an ant and showed them how to build a house. And then he became a human again, and he told them, he said, I tried to show you, but I just scared you. And they said, really, was that you? Well, in that dimension, I agree with what you said about his almightiness being come for us. I saw a meme the other day that said that the one who's sitting on the right hand of the throne is a man who was lynched.